Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Auto Club Speedway here in Fontana, California, where round number one of the Canadian Sim Racing Series, presented by LaCroixTuning.com, is ready to fire off here this evening. Again, round number one of five. Every Sunday night in the month of May, you're going to see live racing action here with the Canadian Sim Racing Series, presented by LaCroixTuning.com. My name is Steve Ovens. Aboard with you on the broadcast tonight are two of the best in the business, Todd Lewis and Dave Bradley. Todd Lewis, I'll bring you in to start us off here tonight. We are going to see some very, very talented race car drivers competing on five very unique racetracks here on the iRacing service. This is going to be a lot of fun to get it kicked off.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting set of conditions this evening. A lot of drivers are used to driving on shorter tracks, not necessarily the high-speed 2-mile track at California Speedway. I think it's going to be interesting to see what we get. We got a huge field of very fast cars. There are some guys that do compete against each other regularly. There will be others that are going to get a taste of it for the first time, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I expect to see plenty of action as soon as the green flag comes out.
Well, there's always action aplenty. Anytime we just finished up the Rivals Blacktop Series season, and that was really some exciting stuff. Dave Bradley going to be in the booth with us as well. And Dave, I know you and Todd work together here calling races, and you guys know a lot of these drivers. A lot of these drivers know each other as well. And I understand that there's even some rivalries that I'm sure are going to carry over here to the Auto Club Speedway.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm interested to find out is if the outdoor rivalries will carry on to the online scene here at Auto Club Speedway here today, because it is a very different scene than a lot of these drivers are used to driving on. As Todd mentioned, it's a much bigger track. The consequences are much bigger for those bump and runs, the rubbing and racing. So we'll see if cooler heads can prevail here for race number one. I'm sure by the fifth race of this series, we will see tempers start to flare and those rivalries will get very real. But it's just very exciting to be back at a racetrack again. I'm sure a lot of people have been sitting around just dying to get back outside and get to a racetrack, but here we're doing it online, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It absolutely is, and we're here at the Auto Club Speedway here in Fontana, California. There was a last chance qualifier race that just finished up here not even 20 minutes ago. The top three drivers out of that event qualified their way in to tonight's main event, which we're getting ready to bring you here on GeForce TV. A very, very exciting last chance race that included a last lap pass for the final transfer spot. And Adam Ross out of Cambridge, Ontario, picked up that final transfer spot in a turn 4 last lap move. I think that's just the window dressing of what we're going to see here tonight with the Canadian Sim Racing Series. Again, round number one here tonight of five. We start it off here tonight at Fontana, California. We move on next week, round number two at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That'll be on the oval track on May 10th. May 17th, we head to Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. On May 17th, we will then, that of course being a road course, our fourth event of five will be on May 24th. We'll do another road course event for round number 4. That is where I'm very interested to see these drivers prove both their prowess on the ovals as well as the road course. We wrap it up on May 31st at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Atlanta, Georgia. So very excited to see that. Now, something that we need to talk about here tonight is what we're going to see in terms of racing action. The pit window tonight, and this is always interesting. I got a chance to check in with some of the practice sessions earlier this week. The pit window was anywhere from 18 to 20 laps. And from what we're being told, drivers that are trying to stretch that to 20 laps really is stretching it on their fuel. So that's going to be a storyline to follow here tonight. There is so many different intricacies here on the iRacing service. when it comes to live racing and making live pit stops, or even making pit stops under the yellow flag condition. There is so many moving parts for these drivers that they're going to have to contend with here tonight. Now, let's talk about, we've talked about some of the rivals. We've talked about some of the competition that we're going to see here tonight. Guys, tell me about some of the names that are standing out to you, that driver fans that are tuning in tonight for this very first event for the CSRS. Tell us, Todd or Dave, whoever wants to chime in here, about some of the names that fans are going to need to really keep their eye on here tonight.
Well, I'll jump in first, and I'll talk about Alex Labbe, who has driven on this track previously, had a couple of interesting outings on California Speedway in real cars, and told me that one of the keys to this track's success is it's a momentum track. You want to keep the momentum and keep the cars moving through the corner. And the other key, he said, is watch the right front, maintain and look after that right front tire. If you do that, that will help you through the race. The other thing that we'll notice in driving around this track, and this is what all drivers are going to have to pay attention to, those black seams between the lanes around the track. I spoke to Alex Tagliani for a while this afternoon as well, and he was telling me as you go across those black seams from one lane in the track to the next, it upsets the car. It disturbs the car and can send you into an awfully difficult position awfully quickly. Something to keep an eye on as drivers are making their way around the track. Those black seams really upset the cars moving around. But yes, Alex Labbe, I'm interested in watching. I'm interested in watching the Lapsevich youngs. I want to say kids, but they're not kids anymore. The Caden and Trayton Lapsevich, and I think it's going to be a really interesting race tonight.
You have to put Rafael Lassard in that group as well. I was going to say Alex Labbe, mainly for his experience here at Auto Club Speedway, but also for his experience on iRacing. Rafael Lassard is starting to turn some heads when he gets behind the wheel of a sim rig as well. But the Lapsevich brothers, Caden and Trayton, they've been doing a lot of iRacing in late models, super late models, and definitely I think they're going to surprise some people here today. But you really can't count out a lot of the faces that we see joining us from La Belle Province. A lot of the French-speaking contingent joining us here today. They've been iRacing for years, so they will have experience to lean on here today because it is a little bit different feel. Some drivers who are veterans of the outdoor world to get behind a sim rig say it's just not the same. You don't have that seat of the pants feel. So I think it does pay a lot to have the experience when you're on iRacing and to rely on that experience when it comes to a race scenario. I mean, we have some pretty big names in here. You've got like DJ Kennington, you've got Jason White. You remember he qualified and ran very well at the truck race. I think he came home with the top 10 this year in the truck race at Daytona. Yeah, here he's in this race as well, but admittedly, not a lot of experience on a sim rig in iRacing. So it'll be interesting to see how well that translates here today.
Todd, tell me about a driver that's registered here tonight that's going to be running with us that could very well surprise a lot of people with their performance here tonight.
That's an interesting question in terms of surprise. Maybe I'll take Pete Shepard, who has also been rather experienced in terms of iRacing. He's run in a number of different series. He's run a few different events and has experience on different size tracks as well. And Pete's the kind of racer that you want to keep an eye on, whether it's a big track, whether it's a small track, it doesn't matter, because he's someone who will be methodical in his approach. He will see where he is in the early going. He will try different racing lines around the track, see what works for him, see how his car is working, and see what the competition is doing and pay attention to the competition. If he sees someone that is making progress and maybe a little bit quicker than he is, he'll be able to make the adjustment necessary. So you may not see him even in the early going, but watch as he moves through the race. He'll learn as the race moves along, and that's something that's going to be helpful for these drivers when a number of them haven't raced either virtually or really in real life on this track previously.
Can I bring up one name that we've so far overlooked, but we should not overlook when it comes to the race here tonight, is Kevin Lacroix. I mean, obviously, LaCroixTuning.com is sponsoring the series, but here's a driver who has experience in iRacing. He just came off an endurance race win not too long ago, I believe just this past week. And here he's in the field tonight. So definitely there will be one contender, because in the outdoor world, he is one of the best. And I'm expecting the same thing on iRacing here tonight.
Guys, I'm going to give you a driver that we covered quite frequently on the Rivals Blacktop Series, a guy to keep your eye out for here tonight, and that is Tom Senchek. Tom Senchek was a driver who had more second-place finishes in the Rivals Blacktop Series than any other driver on the tour. He starts 5th tonight, just behind Trent Ringler, another guy that had some success with the Rivals Blacktop Series. So if there's guys that I can chip in with here, I'm going to say Tom Senchek and Trent Ringler, two guys that battled it out for the championship on that series that just came to a close here a week or so ago. Tom Senchek has so far always been the bridesmaid, never been the bride. And boy, what a way for him to kick it off if he could pull it off here tonight. So a lot of drivers to talk about. And of course, Alex Labay, John Schweikart are going to be taking it away from the front row here tonight out of the LaRue Esports team. And I know that Alex is certainly a driver that you guys know well, and his esports team has been an absolute force here on the iRacing servers.
Well, yeah, Alex has been terrific. He's in real cars, whichever cars he enjoys. He attacks it ferociously, and same thing that he, with real life experience and iRacing experience, will help him along the way in this track, and especially with such a good starting spot up front, that will serve him well. He has proven to be fast on larger tracks as well. He can handle the muscle your way through the shorter tracks, but on larger tracks where there's larger room for error and bigger speeds, you can count on Alex Labay to really make the most of his opportunities as well. He does like to drive fast and likes those bigger tracks.
But don't expect him to abuse his equipment. He's a very, very smart driver and knows racecraft very, very well. So starting up front, he'll be able to dictate the pace. And he won't try and go out and run and hide if the car is telling him not to do that. He'll save his equipment, maybe wait for a pit stop, make some adjustments, and then go out and attack once again. But he's a driver that knows the feel of his race car very, very well, and again, one that uses his head.
So we will have the start of the race here for you in just a moment. Again, this is round 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series being presented to you by LaCroixTuning.com. The green flag will be coming up here in just a few moments. Guys, we are racing here tonight at the Auto Club Speedway in California. We head to Charlotte, but the 2 races out of this 5-race series that are so intriguing to me is the 2 road courses that we're going to be going to. I cannot wait to see what the action will be like on the road courses. Why don't we first tackle Mosport? That should be just absolutely exciting.
World-class track, world-class excitement right from the drop of the green flag at that track that has a half a century of great road racing. The changes and improvements that have been made over the last few years have only improved the racing and makes for plenty of drama around the track, plenty of great opportunities for passing, and it rewards those that handle their cars well, those that are aggressive but under control. Those are the things that you're going to keep an eye on when you get to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You have great opportunities for pass. There is risk and reward. It is a pleasure to watch cars around that track, and its layout hasn't changed, but it remains to be one of the premier road courses in North America.
Indeed. They altered it a little bit by paving the runoff areas to make it, I guess, a little less treacherous. So if you do make a mistake, your car's not going to end up wadded into what was first a concrete wall and then a tire wall. at least now you have a little opportunity to save it. So the end of turn 8, or the beginning of turn 8, the end of the Andretti straightaway, and off of turn 2, those have been paved runoff areas, which changed the face of the track just a little bit. But as Todd mentioned, it really didn't change the racing on the track, which Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as anybody will tell you, any series that runs there, the fan who gets to sit and watch it comes out of that place just amazed at the action that comes from any series on that track. It is a world-class facility, and we're so lucky to have it here in Canada.
Todd, walk me through week number 4, and I want to make sure that I get the, we have the, looks like we have the overhead shot of the race here. We are just underway here at the Auto Club Speedway as we work through a couple of things behind the scenes, but we have got picture now. We are showing racing here at the Auto Club Speedway. We're currently working lap number 7, and guys out front here aboard the 36 is Alex LeBay, but one of his teammates in car number 1 is John Schweikart, and right now Schweikart is doing everything he can as they're trying to break away from this pack here, as these guys are really racing hot and heavy here for third and fourth.
Looks pretty interesting up near the front. He's keeping an eye on Alex LeBay right down low, but not really abusing that right front tire as you see him drift out a little bit, and almost looks like he's ready to surrender that top spot and maybe give up a position for a little while.
But there's the beauty of this track. Look at how many lines they're able to race, how many people are scattered out a little bit deeper in the field. You can run high, you can run low, as we do have an official change for the lead right now as Schweikart goes to top spot. LeBay's going to tuck in behind, but I don't know how comfortable he'll be staying there. He looks like he's going to dive to the inside very shortly.
So Schweikart takes over the top spot away from LeBay. They're coming to put a lap down there on that machine off of turn number 4 as LeBay will slide back to the 2 spot. Coming across the line to put lap number 11 or lap number 10 on the board. They are 10 laps into this one out of 50 laps, so we're definitely going to see at least 2 pit stops here tonight before this one is said and done. 50 laps is the distance here for round number 1.
Keeping an eye on Alex Gannett as well, who is inside the top 10, someone that we hadn't had a chance to talk about, but also who has experience on some of the larger tracks in the U.S. He did run in the NASCAR Pinty Series as well, came back to run last year at the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières as well, and sure didn't look out of place after spending a lot of time on the sidelines. But Alex Gannett, another driver to keep an eye on, who when we get down towards the end of this one.
Driver up in the top lane, the one that's a lap down, that's the 32, Trayton Lapsevich, and he's looking just to stay up out of the way of the leaders as the whole field comes thundering by.
You guys were talking about Rafael Lessard earlier tonight, currently running in the 8th spot, as you've got 3 cars that have been really battling hard here for position. Kevin Lacroix, Gannett, and Lessard right there with him in car number 4.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see Lessard up there this early. Obviously, with a full-time truck ride with Kyle Busch Motorsports, has really been turning some heads down south. But he turned some big heads when he debuted with the NASCAR Pinty Series in Canada at Autodrome Chaudière, and he went out and he won that race. His very first start in the NASCAR Pinty Series, up against some very talented drivers, and he showed he wasn't afraid to mix it up. He took it all the way to victory lane.
So the field starting to single file out here just a little bit as, oh boy, they were almost 3 wide. They're going into turn 3, and the driver there that's trying to make a move is Trayton Lapsevich in the 32 machine, as he was all the way down, and now they've really scattered out as everybody is weaving and diving here for position.
That was Jonathan Cote, the 28, who made the move. That's the 32 of Trayton Lapsevich, who is maybe getting a little aggressive towards the end of this run. And maybe it's Trayton just trying to feel his way through in the early going. As mentioned earlier, he's done a lot of sim racing and a lot of different series, and Trayton Lapsevich starting to get some attention out there as well as they fan out again 4 wide across the backstretch.
That's right, and I did make a mistake. Lapsevich in the 32 car, the driver that was up on the high side, was not Trayton Lapsevich. as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So yeah, and that was one of the drivers that we had mentioned earlier. We were going to keep an eye on Lapsevich. He is a young gun, and he has been sort of turning some heads, running late model races in Ontario, and then running late model races and super late model races and iRacing as well, and turning heads there.
So taking, look at how close these guys are running here off of turn 2. Now, something that we noted in the practice sessions earlier here this week was that drivers were really able to be aggressive on the bottom lane, but the problem was you couldn't stay tucked on that white line and be able to carry the speed because the car would want to get so loose on you on corner exit. So it's just impressive to see how close these guys are racing with each other, knowing that these cars are really a handful racing with the B cars here at Fontana.
As you watch the cars go through the front stretch past the flag stand on the oval as well, they're down on the apron at times and then slipping back up onto the track surface. Remember, I mentioned at the start of the program, those seams that the drivers move across, each time you go across, that does unsettle the car just a little bit. If you hit them at the wrong angle, if you've got too much wheel into the car, as you come across the seams, that will upset the car and send you out of control rather quickly. Something to keep an eye on as we get closer to the pit stop window. 15 laps done, 18 to 20 is approximately the pit stop window.
And go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say it's going to be interesting to see, especially now as we near that pit stop window. The tires are starting to get a little bit worn. You can see the roughness of this track in some areas where the cars are bouncing and hopping. As the tires get worn, they're not quite as grippy as they once were at the start of this race. How that's going to affect the handling of these cars.
We have got a battle up here for the top 4 spots in this race, as Trent Ringler in the 26 is really having a fierce battle here with Senchek in the 11, and now the race for the lead is starting to heat up. Guys, I think you're right. The tires are starting to wear, and guys that have taken care of their stuff are trying to take advantage here before we make our first pit stop of the night.
And maybe it's an opportunity to get out front, see how your car does in the clean air, find a little bit of space to run by yourself without too many cars around you. And you're also now, with 17 laps done, you're starting to look for the opportunity to find a clear lane into pit lane for that stop before you make it. You want to make sure that the drivers behind you know you're coming, and you want to make sure that you get the car slowed down properly as you make your entrance into pit lane, as we're starting to see our first car slowing down and make that turn onto pit lane.
Is Trent Ringler. He's going to be the first to come down pit lane as he finds that pit road speed limit, slows it down. The entire field goes by. So he won't have any sort of drafting partner, any help when he gets out of pit lane. So that's quite a gamble.
55 miles an hour is the pit road speed, and Ringler hits his pit box perfect, and it looks like it's going to be 4 tires and gas here for Trent Ringler making his pit stop, as now Alex Labbe takes over the race lead, and they will be coming up on their first pit stop of the night as well, as Ringler is down and away. 4 tires and gas here on pit road.
How long will they wait, the leaders, before they come to pit road? They are completing another lap. That's Alex Labbe out front and leading the field. How long will they go? Ringler has the fresher tires. How big a difference will that make as he goes down a lap to the leaders? That'll just be temporarily, of course, once Alex Labbe and the others make their stops along pit road. But with fresher tires, better handling, a little extra speed, how long do you want to stay out on the track now as they make their way down the backstretch towards turn number 3 before you make your pit stop for fresh tires as well?
Ringler gets to merge up into that group, which is great. And here comes your race leader in the LaRue Esports in number 36. It's Alex Labbe. He'll find the pit speed. He's going to have some company with him, too. And it looks like Kevin Lacroix is going to be. Tom Senchek in the 11 is also coming down pit lane. So now is the time. That 20 laps is that end of that pit window that we were talking about, and here they are.
So Alex Labbe will bring it down pit lane. Senchek hits his pit box. They have to be perfect. Oh, look at Labbe sideways into the pit box. But it looks like he still was able to hit the pit sign right where he needed to be. Guys, if they overshoot their pit sign. They have to throw it in reverse and lose all sorts of time on the pit lane, but it looks like LeBay is going to win that race off of pit road with Senchek, and they will now work on gathering things up and regrouping here as Trent Ringler's going to try and drive right on by him here off turn 2. Looks like Ringler's going to take the top spot.
It looked like others went by Alex LeBay as he was stopped along pit road as well. We'll have to wait and see where he cycles back into the field and makes his way down along the backstretch and heading out to the high side of the racetrack as they get packs towards the front. Alex LeBay again out in front of a few cars, but we'll wait and see what happens as they come back along. That's the 55 car of LaRue right now. And that's a key mistake. If you slide through, if you make a mistake in your pit box, this is the first stop. You don't want to make that mistake a second time when we have our second pit stop later on.
Oh, guys, caution flag comes out. We have yellow on the racetrack as we still had drivers that were trying to cycle through on their pit stops. I see Schweikart was able to get back and blend back into the field. But our first yellow flag of the night, that is going to be interesting right in the middle of a pit cycle.
And yeah, just before this caution came out, I had noticed on the board that Adam Ross, who's normally an announcer on TSN, was up inside the top 3. So where this will filter out with him in the field, he came up through the last chance qualifier just to make the show. So I'm not sure if he was caught out on track or if he did in fact make it.
Yeah, Adam Ross, who took that third and final transfer spot out of the last chance race here tonight to qualify to get into the broadcast here tonight, currently sitting in the third spot, and he had to make quite a move there, as now we will see LaRue will make his pit stop, and Brock Reinhardt coming with him, and Adam Ross as well. So their pit stops will now be able to be made here under the yellow flag. We're going to watch LaRue down into his pit box.
Making his way through, this is the chance that everybody has under yellow, certainly under less stressful conditions, to come in, have a clean stop, get that done, your service done properly, get back out, and then assess where you're going to come back out into the field. This is the tough part of getting stuck out midway through a pit cycle with a yellow flag that has really shaken things up. It'll be interesting now to see what teams start looking at for the second pit stop. Now, as we're through lap 23, how far will they go into that second run before perhaps trying to pit and gain some track position later on in the race? It's only a 50-lap race. There will be one more pit stop, but it might be an interesting play to maybe try and shake things up and shake up the strategy to try to gain a little bit of track position on some of the other competitors.
And we must say, too, that it has been a fairly clean race so far. I mean, this is our only the first caution period of this 50-lap race. So do you take the gamble and think, well, there might be a late race caution and I could maybe stretch it through those slower laps? Or do you try and just be safe? Get your pit stop, get your fuel, make sure you have it, and you can go the distance.
Well, guys, you just mentioned him. Let's go to our first in-race reporter of the night. Let's bring him in. He just made his pit stop here, Adam Ross, who took that final transfer spot from the last chance race. Adam, Steve Ovens, Dave Bradley, Todd Lewis up in the booth. You got a copy.
The gang's all here, guys. How's it going?
It's good.
I'm shocked you haven't crashed yet.
You know, where's the love, Dave? I lie and say I love your big ginger beard.
You're doing a fantastic job, though. You haven't.
What are you finding, Adam? What are you finding? Is the track slippery? Are you finding those seams difficult to deal with? What do you like?
It'd be fine if it wasn't for the other 42 drivers out there trying to go fast like I am. No, the track is great. The conditions are good for racing. It is very even. Like I noticed, Will LaRue and Brock Reinhardt must have gotten involved in that first caution because they were back at the back with me. I took the opportunity to pit, and they were having trouble getting through the field as well.
So how do you see it going for the last half of this race? Are you ready to play out any strategy?
Yeah, you sort of run it backwards. You can go 18 laps all out racing. So really, lap 32 is key. Depending on how the restart goes and if it's clean, you might see people start to duck into the pits around lap 32, 33, 34 and go to the end. But we all have to pit at least once more.
Adam, we appreciate the time, man. Good luck to you here the rest of the way.
You guys have a good time. I wish I could say I miss being in the booth, but I'd rather be right where I'm at.
All right, man. Great job. All right, guys, we're going to step aside here. We got a little pause for the cause. Stay tuned. You're watching live coverage of the Canadian Sim Racing Series from the Auto Club Speedway here in Fontana, California. Stay tuned. You're watching live coverage on GeForce TV. All right, welcome back here to the Auto Club Speedway, round number 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series. Coming back to green, Dave and Todd, we're coming back to green, and we've got Michael Morley, John Schweikart here on the front row.
Now's the time to take advantage of the opportunity. You've got the fresh tires. Everybody will have had their pit stops done. This is an opportunity to maybe pick up position. The field is bunched up, double file restart as they come around through turn number 3. Who's going to be aggressive? Who's going to maybe try to pick up a spot or two early as they come around and get ready? And here comes the green flag.
Green lights are back on here at the Auto Club Speedway as we are officially halfway through this event. 25 laps in, 25 laps to go, and it is going to be Morley taking the advantage down into turn number 1 as Schweikart's got company. Here comes Trent Ringler.
And you can see Alex LeBay immediately drop to the inside, so he's going to take advantage of those fresh tires as well and make it stick down low as he'll try to put a run together. But if you look just a little bit behind, now directly behind Alex LeBay, there you have Kevin Lacroix. Just behind him, Caden Lapsevich as well. So, well, that's Trayton Lapsevich. I saw Caden Lapsevich up there not too long ago, but the Lapsevich brothers have worked their way to the front along with Kevin Lacroix and the Lacroix tuning number 74.
And look at them jumping around as they come through the trial at the start-finish line again, looking for position down low on the track, trying to take the shortest way around, but then maybe moving up a little bit towards the outside. Kevin Lacroix riding a little bit higher. I think he's trying to maybe save that right front tire, and we've got yellow again.
Yellow lights are on here for the second time here tonight as we've had some great green flag racing early on in the first half of this race. But now under the yellow here for the second time tonight here on lap number 27. As we continue to show Morley on top of the leaderboard, Trent Ringler, John Schweikart, Alex LeBay, and Kevin Lacroix right now, your top 5. Brad Ovens, our executive producer on the iRacing video side, going to take a look and see if he can find us a replay to show us what happened to put us under this yellow flag. Anytime we get a yellow flag, guys, and all of our folks that are watching here tonight on GeForce TV, it is a madhouse. I mean, you could use 5 sets of hands if you had them, putting all these replays together, and they do such a great job with that. As, again, our second yellow flag of the night, and this is just after a big round of pit stops, so I don't anticipate necessarily that we would see, guys, as we take a look here at what happened.
A couple of cars coming together and
Brett Taylor
trying to see who's that. Yeah, that's the...
appears to be Jonathan Guittard and Taylor. Taylor getting the worst of that.
Yeah.
Now, something that we can explain is drivers some it appears are heading down. Morley is coming down pit lane. Ringler kind of faked him out here. Ringler is choosing not to hit the pit lane.
No, it's a little bit early to make that final stop to try to take it all the way to the end, but it will make you think a little bit about what your strategy is going to be as you get into 20 laps or so to go in this race. Is Morley actually making a pit stop? Are some guys going to actually try to make it on that final stop and hope that they can go all the way? It looks like that's what's going to happen.
Well, I think if you're going to roll the dice, now is the time to do it, because you're just almost there in that window. The potential is there that we could have another caution. If we do, then you're probably safe. If not, then it's going to be close. But hey, if you're a mid-pack runner at this point, you're looking for that little bit of added bonus. You heard Adam Ross mention earlier that everybody is so equal, everybody is fast, and you need a little bit more.
Yeah, I love this call right now, because as you look at it, we're going to take the green flag with less than 20 to go to the checkered flag. And, the way that we've had a couple of yellows here, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that we could see another one. And if we do, that could be the difference for a guy that comes down and gets that fuel right now. To try and make it go the rest of the way here. Now, something else that these guys can do here, just like at your, just like at a race that you guys would call, they have the ability, a lot of these drivers, to be able to shut that engine right off. They can clutch the car to try and save gas. They can actually shut it right down and power it back up. There's so many things these guys can do, and we've seen that as we're watching the picture right now of Ringler, who's on top of the leaderboard. He has got it, probably, I would imagine, guys, he's got it down into fourth gear and just running as little as possible here as we get down into turn one. I see Schweikart doing the same.
Yeah, fuel to make it the distance is one part of it, and you're right. Fuel to make it the distance is one part of it, but who's going to have the fresher tires at the end of the drivers? That might make the difference as well. If you get another caution, if you make a pit stop, you'll have slightly fresher tires, you'll have a full tank of fuel. Maybe you can run a little bit harder with full fuel and fresher tires. Maybe that will be the difference. But what we're going to see is the two different strategies working towards each other as we wind down the final laps of this race.
Look at Trayton Lapsovich. You look at the tack and where he's running at under 2,000 RPM. So yeah, he's just chugging it along, trying to save some fuel during this caution.
So working the yellow flag here. I believe they are going to come around to get the one to go signal here this time. And looking at some of the drivers are up here toward the top. I mean, right now we've got the drivers in the top 6 spots pretty much started in the top 10. But once you get back to Alex Gannett in the 39, you start to get to see some drivers that have really had to claw their way up through the pack. Callum McNichol, one of them, started 26th tonight, currently up to 9th. Jason Metcalf started 24th. He's up to 10th here as we get ready for a restart. Hopefully, I think it is going to come here next time by.
And that's, again, another opportunity for drivers to maybe make up a few spots as the field gets bunched up, double file for the restart of the race. Drivers will tell you that is your best opportunity to gain positions. You'd have an opportunity to time that restart and get around the driver in front of you and maybe get aggressive, maybe get yourself a couple of positions that will help you out later on in the race. Right now, everybody's trying to conserve as much fuel as they can and make sure that the tires are warm and scrubbed off and ready for the start of the race. Alex Lebay and back out in front, and that familiar spot is how long is he going to keep it is going to be the interesting question.
Well, you talked about the restarts, and especially in a track as wide as this one, there really is the opportunity to make up some ground, but there's also the opportunity to lose a lot of ground. If you make a mistake and get into another car, the results can be absolutely devastating because everybody's going to fan out. Everybody's going to look for that advantage on this restart. Who will get it will be
this wide racetrack can make it awfully tempting to want to make that big move here on the restart, but that can really prove to be costly.
It is. That's the risk versus reward that you're looking for as the drivers are getting set to accept the green flag and get started. And we'll see who's going to be aggressive. We'll see who's going to maybe make up a spot or two, and who's going to play defense as somebody tries to get around them.
The Ford Mustang GT pace car pulls off of the racetrack. We are back to green flag racing, and Trent Ringler with a really nice restart here as he's going to take a car length advantage on John Schweikart and Alex LeBay into turn number 1, and Lapsevich right there with him. Trayton putting on a good run. He's been running those super late model races during the week. He has had a strong showing here tonight.
Sure has, and now challenging up front, keeping an eye on that driver in front of him, Ringler, and now looking out, peeking out down the backstretch, looking for the opportunity. That's one driver that is being aggressive in the early going.
LeBay tucked in behind his teammate in the LaRue Esports machine. There's Schweikart in the number 1 and LeBay in the 36, and they've been nose to tail this entire race. You have to think that they're working together and they're trying to figure something out to get past Ringler, your lead.
Boy, everybody tucked into line. Look how close these guys are racing here in turns 1 and 2. Everybody down on that white line, letting it drift up off of turn number 2 as Schweikart is right there. Not really being aggressive and making a move, but boy, he is right there if Ringler makes any kind of mistake. And now the yellow flag comes out here on lap number 33. So we get yellow one more time here for the 3rd time tonight. And Todd, this is very interesting because this now puts these guys comfortably in that window. Not to say that they'll make that choice to come down, but now it puts you in a much better window than you were, say, 5-6 laps ago.
Absolutely. Now is the time that you'll have to look at it and say, this is under the yellow. We make the stop without the pressure of making a green flag pit stop. Make the stop now. Get your service done, and then it's go hard to the finish, because there are other drivers that have already made their stops for service. They will gain that track position. You'll have the fresher tires. You'll have a little more fuel, and this is where we're going to see some more hard charging, I would suspect, from these front runners as they try to climb back through the field and get back up towards the front before the end of the race.
Traffic hasn't been easy to cut through, though, so it'll be interesting to see, because those who did roll the dice and took that early pit stop, you're right, they will have a few laps older tires, not considerably, but will that hurt them in the long run? And based on track position, they'll have the better track position, but older tires. So it'll be interesting to see how these drivers will be able to make their way through.
55 miles an hour is the pit road speed limit. You cannot go over that. You will be assessed a penalty if you speed down the pit lane. Trent Ringler will bring the McNichol-sponsored 26 machine down the pit lane at 55 miles an hour, and he will hit his pit box. And again, you've got to hit that pit box perfectly. LeBay is pitted just in front of him, and it looks like everybody hit their pit box well, but LeBay was just a little hesitant, as now we're seeing some pit strategy come into play. The 74 machine of Lacroix beats everybody off of the pit road, followed by Ringler and Schweikart, and you guys, we said it, this opened up an opportunity for somebody to roll the dice, and it looks like Lacroix is that driver.
And this
Fuel
is going to
only.
be interesting to watch as he makes his way back out onto the racetrack. Where does he come into the field? Where is he classified on the restart? And then watching Kevin Lacroix, who has proven his worth on high speed, longer speedway tracks, or also the short tracks. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive he is trying to make his way through the field to get back up toward the front.
He's been hanging out inside the top 5 pretty much all night long. So it'll be interesting to see if that is the edge that he needed to sort of put him over the top. Didn't look like he had anything for the number 1 and the number 36 of the LaRue Esports teammates. So this is possibly the edge that he needed. But this one's going to be interesting. I didn't see it coming. I thought everybody would just take forward, take fuel, and carry on. But it'll be interesting to see how this one plays.
Guys, I am shocked. I thought there was a chance we would see somebody maybe gamble on 2 tires instead of 4 I did not see somebody just going fuel only as Lacroix has done. But Todd, as we were talking about, I think it was you that mentioned, the passing maybe not as at a passing being at a premium here. Even on these restarts, I mean, if this elevates him to the top of the leaderboard and he gets to control the restart, man, clean air. Yes, maybe not 4 tires, but clean air. Boy, that could be the ticket tonight.
It's going to be interesting to see. It looks like he will, just trying to watch where he's going to slide it. It looks like he may be sort of mid-pack around 14th is where Kevin Lacroix will start. He was the first out of those that made a pit stop during this caution. Are we going to have 12, 13 laps of racing to go before we hit the checkered flag? Is that going to be enough time for Kevin Lacroix to get through some of those other cars? Is that going to be enough time for him to find his way through? There's lots of different ways around this track, but it's difficult to pass at times. If you pull out too soon, it doesn't give you the right run going into the corner. Is that going to be enough time for Lacroix or some of the others who did take 4 tires to make their way back up towards the front of the field in the closing laps?
Well, he doesn't have much of a cushion over those who did take 4 tires during that last pit stop, and you've got some pretty quick cars that are right on your back bumper. If your name is Kevin Lacroix, you've got Ringler and Schweikart who are right there and will be restarting right behind him. So are his tires good enough to keep them at bay? Because realistically, at this point, Kevin Lacroix is rolling the dice that the cars in front of him will all run out of fuel, and now he's just going to try and keep those who are directly behind him back there, and ultimately he'll lead at the checkered flag, and that's what his goal is.
I don't know if those other cars are going to run out of fuel though, Dave, because we've had so much yellow now that even though they stopped with about 20 laps remaining, they should have enough fuel to make it to the end.
Guys, let's bring in one of those drivers that had that difficult decision to make. Trent Ringler in the 26 machine was leading before that last yellow flag, and actually it looks like we're going to be coming back to green, so we'll get Trent back down into his race room as we get ready to go back green flag racing, this time off turn 4.
Cars are lining up, double file, getting set for this green. That'll be 12 laps of racing to go when they take the green flag. How aggressive will Kevin Lacroix be? And some of those others that made stops, Ringler and Alex Lebay and the Lapsoviches who were further back in the field, will they be able to make it forward? Will everybody have enough fuel at the front of the field? I think they will now, but we won't know for sure for a little bit yet.
A driver that you guys spoke about earlier this evening when we started the coverage tonight, Raphael Lessard restarting in 6th right here for this restart. There's a driver I'm keeping my eye on as we come back to the green flag here off of turn number 4. We're back to racing here with 12 to go.
Who's going to be the big mover off of this one? You see a couple of cars drop to the apron to try and get a good jump on this restart. 2 drivers from that inside line, Bedard and Knight.
3 wide, 4 wide. Oh, little wiggle as they were coming through there at corner number 1. Now as everybody's getting aggressive, looking to gain those spots.
Yeah, we're nearly at 10 to go. Now it is go time for these drivers, and under caution once again. So this appears as though it will play into the hands of those who stopped early.
Yellow lights are on here as they will come down to the line and put lap number 39 on the board. So we take yellow here with 11 to go. And it is Blake Reinhardt that's leading this race aboard the 15. And he has got Brock Reinhardt right behind him in car number 15. And it looks like the Reinhardts are trying to take control of this one late.
Interesting that we went through almost the first half of this race caution-free, but ever since we just approached the midway point of the race, it has been a lap of racing and a lap or 2 of caution, and we haven't been able to get any sense of who's got the best equipment in the second half of this race. We've had a variety of different pit strategies that have played out. Everybody now has got what they have to the end of the race, and it's only going to be a handful of race laps remaining once we get the green flag going again. So we're looking at a replay as one of the incidents, and there you see a number of cars getting tangled up through corner number 1. And again, is this part of the aggression that David Michaud was one of those cars in that number 40 that got spun around? And this is the aggression on the restart, looking for positions, trying to gain positions, and it winds up costing somebody.
And it cost Alex Gannett there, who is going to restart in position number 35 after getting caught up in that one. Gannett, who was running in the top 10 earlier in this race, now has to restart well outside of the top 30. So taking a look here at our top 5 on the leaderboard as you get a great aerial overhead shot here at the Auto Club Speedway. Again, guys, round number 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series. Kicking off here tonight, presented by LaCroixTuning.com. Todd, Dave, give me a little bit of your feedback here. What are some of your impressions so far here tonight?
I like what I've seen so far. It's been interesting. We've seen guys have patience early on. We've seen some aggression and later on in the race, and now we're going to see, I think, a lot of aggression as we get down to single-digit number of laps at the end. The Lapceviches are further back. Kevin Lacroix is further back after making the pit stops a little bit later. Ringler is further back after making the pit stops later. Those were some of the faster cars in the early going. I'm not sure if they're going to have enough time to get back up toward the front. It's wide open as to who's going to win this race. Raphael Lessard is starting 4th. That might be, as we've mentioned a couple of times, he might be the guy to keep an eye on.
And during that short little jaunt we had after that last caution, the 4 car was the one to watch, I would say, Raphael Lessard. But I'm going to echo your comments, Todd, that everybody was very polite through the first half of this race. It was like showing up to a new party. And you didn't really know each other, so you didn't really want to say anything that was going to hurt anybody's feelings. But now everybody's comfortable. They're here, they're ready to dance, and I think the intensity is going to pick up here in the latter half. Again, we're under 10 to go in the first race.
We're going to check in with one of our in-race reporters here, Raphael Lessard, currently running in position number 4. And Raphael, it has been a great race for you here tonight, and it looks like you're in a great position here, coming up with less than 10 to go.
Yeah, it's been a great race. Just trying to save as much fuel as I can right now. We're going to be a little bit tight, but we should be fine. We just hope we won't have like 3 green-white checker there at the end, but it's been fun, and we just need 3 more spots.
You have enough to go and get them, do you think, even with saving fuel?
I think we got enough till the end, and we'll do everything we can to gain 3 spots to be in victory lane.
Without giving away all your strategy, Raphael, do you want to go high at the start, or is it going to be whatever is presented in front of you as you see as your opportunity?
Whatever is presented in front of me. You can never plan a restart. You just gotta react when it happens and do what you think is the best. So we'll see. I think we should be fine on that start and try to gain some position.
Do you have any friends around you who you want to work with?
Yeah, I've got Jeff Cote. He's a little bit further back. He got in a wreck at the beginning, but I've been working with him in practice and kind of he's giving me some advice, and I'm giving him some advice. So it's been fun.
Well, I see that you're coming back to green next time by. We appreciate getting a word with you here under the yellow. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Well, guys, I love checking in. I love the ability that we have to check in with these drivers under yellow, to really get under the helmet and see what these guys are thinking, what the thought process is, and really how methodical these guys are.
And I like what Raphael said too, is you can't really plan in the restart. You have to react to what's in front of you. So he's going to look for the opening, look for the opportunity. With the cars bunched up, that will probably be his best opportunity to gain a quick position or two, and then hopefully be in position for the victory in about 7 laps.
But right now, it's the boys from Hamilton, Ontario, on the front row to Reinhardt brothers. Blake and Brock Reinhardt will lead them back.
Well, we are coming back to the green. There will be 7 laps to go when they hit the stripe. The gloves are about to come off. Round number 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series is ready to come to a close in 7 more laps. Green flag will come out this time off of turn number 4 as the Ford Mustang GT pace car hits the pit lane. We're back under green. Blake Reinhardt's going to lead him down to turn number 1. And here comes Rafael Lessard down to the inside.
Look at how low Reinhardt went down to try to get as much run as he could into corner number 1. And there's the fight going up right towards the front of the field. 2 and 3 wide going through corner number 1 and 2.
And there, check out number 6, Morley, a driver who led early on and then rolled the dice, went to the pits, and we almost had trouble deeper in the field. I was watching a crash that was going to happen that never did happen. But Morley now up inside the top 3 once again. He's got a little rocket ship underneath him. Keep an eye on the driver.
Yeah, Morley. Oh, as we have a yellow here. Yellow flag coming back out here with 6 laps to go. And yeah, Morley, who started 6th here on the starting grid tonight, led some laps in the middle portion of this race, now running in 3rd. Lessard, of course, started in position number 11, currently running in 2nd. Reinhardt with the lead. And if there was any question about fuel concerns for Lessard, this could be the yellow, Todd, that he needed to be able to make it the rest of the way and maybe cover a couple green-white checkers.
This should certainly help ease his mind as they get down to, what, three, maybe 4 laps to go once they get reformed up and after this yellow flag for a green to the dash to the checkered flag. The way it's been going, though, I'm not sure if we're going to get to 50 laps or if we're going to have to go beyond, or what the situation is going to be with a green-white checker finish. We just seem to get as soon as we seem to get underway, there seems to be a problem almost immediately on that next lap. Is this something that we're going to see again and again and again? And is it going to become a race of attrition? I don't think fuel should be an issue now. Everybody's tires there shouldn't be an advantage one way or the other. It's going to be a question of, can you survive the final 5 laps to the end?
If we can string 5 laps together, I mean,
I didn't say in a row.
They were very polite for the first half of this race, but sort of all bets are off at this point, and we're struggling to get even a full lap complete before we get another caution here. So, yeah, I mean, the drivers who pitted are quite happy now in seeing all these caution flags fly, but definitely if you're trying to improve your position, because you have to look at a couple drivers who dominated early on and where they sit right now. You look at a driver like Alex Labay and like Schweikert, they were up front and seemed to have this field covered early on, and now they're sort of mired back 16th and 17th, and with a lack of green flag laps, they're not moving up through the field, and the time is ticking now for them.
Guys, a driver that we were talking about on that restart, aboard car number 6 here, Michael Morley, running in the 3rd spot. Michael, this is all the announcers up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, man, tell us about your position, how you feel about where you are, and is this yellow flag the yellow that some of the guys needed to not have concerns about fuel now?
I think most definitely it's going to be hard to finish here. I feel great about my position. I like my odds to actually win this race right now, and I agree. Guys that were short on fuel, they will be fine.
Where has your car been strongest here so far, late in this run in the second half of this race?
3 and 4 is definitely where I'm at.
Do you find it drops off on the longer runs? Like if you do manage to put a long run together, are you worried about the longevity?
Not at all. I'm happy with the car. I'm happy with the setup. Let's get at this.
All right, man. Good luck to you here the rest of the way. Appreciate you stopping in and checking in with us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, good luck the rest of the way.
Well, there you have it. He is pretty confident, and starting on that inside lane, I think I'd be pretty confident too.
Yeah, interesting. We're going to get one more lap under caution, it looks like. So everybody will have 3 laps to go, and everybody's just kind of riding down on the bottom, it looks like, too, to make sure that they don't have any fuel pickup issues in the last couple of laps. And just proceeding slowly, just in case there's a green-white checker finish, and we wind up with a little bit of overtime. But interesting for Michael Morley, though, as you mentioned, was leading laps early on in the race, kind of fell back out of sight, and maybe that was the best thing, is just to sort of be away from some of the drama that was going on at different points in the race, and now in the closing laps finds himself with a real opportunity at a victory.
I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the 4 of Raphael Lessard, when he went by pit entrance, he made a dive to the inside, like he was going to pit lane and then pulled back out onto the racetrack. So I think he's trying to play a few head games here with those who are behind him, saying, I'm going to pit, nope, and pulls back on track. So interesting to see the head games at play here in the latter few laps of this race.
Well, guys, let's check in with your race leader right now. Blake Reinhardt, Steve Ovens in the announcer's booth, along with Dave Bradley and Todd Lewis. You got a copy?
How you doing, guys?
Oh, we're doing great, man. I think you're doing well as well here. Going to restart on the top of the leaderboard when we come back to green, another lap and a half or so. Tell us about what you think here toward the end. You've got our first, or actually it looks like our first attempt at a green-white checkered.
Honestly, I just hope I don't run out of fuel. That's the strategy that we ended up with here, and we'll see what happens.
Is it about surviving to the end of this one as well? It seems like we can't go a lap or two without having a caution come back out, and that's not going to work in your favor.
No, it's a little frustrating, but I definitely would have rather raced it out under green, but if this is how it's going to be, then we'll do what we can.
All right, man. Good luck to you here. All right, lights are off, guys, on the pace car. I think this is going to be one of the more exciting restarts we've had all night long.
I don't know. I think some of the other restarts have been exciting as they stretch out, 3, sometimes 4 wide. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be aggressive at the start of this one, but there's only a couple of laps left. This potentially is your last opportunity. Raphael Lessard will be on the outside of row number 1. How far does he drive it into corner number 1? Does he try to squeeze Brock Reinhardt? Does he try to manipulate him? He's sort of pulling up ahead right now just to let him know that he's there. I think it's going to be worth watching those two on the front row, first of all.
Reinhardt has been diving to the flat as he crosses the stripe to take the restart. Last couple times we've gone for a restart, that's exactly what he's done. So he might have found something down there that his car really likes as far as getting back up to speed. So that does open up the opportunity for Lessard to cheat down a little bit and not be stuck way up on the outside in the dirty part of the racetrack.
So here we go. Green, white, checkered will be the finish here. Restart. Green lights are on here as Reinhardt takes off, and they will race down into turn number 1. And Dave, just like you said, Reinhardt down on the flat side of the racetrack to turn 1.
How much room is Lessard going to give him? He's tucked in behind now and is following him, watching for Morley, who's also keeping it down low on the inside. As they get through corners number 1 and head to 2, clean up front, is Raphael Lessard going to be able to make a charge? Is Michael Morley going to have something for Lessard and have something to say about who wins this one as they fan out 5 wide in the field?
That is incredible, and we stayed green as everybody stayed off each other. The other Reinhardt brother, Blake Reinhardt, there in the 15, sitting in 4th. He's having a great little run. You saw a quick look of Caden Lapsevich in the 76. There is Alex LeBay, who was so dominant early on, but Lessard now painting the back bumper of your race leader.
And it is the white flag lap as they work through 1 and 2. Raphael Lessard putting all sorts of pressure on Reinhardt. Todd, does Reinhardt have enough fuel? Can Lessard make a move?
Lessard is going to give him everything he can, trying to fill his mirrors headed down the backstretch. The field fans out again, 4 and 5 wide. We've got cars spinning it deep in the field, but the battle is still up front. Raphael Lessard trying to find his way around Reinhardt.
They'll bring it.
A clean air in front of him. Lessard takes a peek up top. He's going to try and put together a run off of turn number 4 down to the flat. Both of them go. Reinhardt's going to win the first one.
Wow, what a finish there for Blake Reinhardt as the strategy call, guys, pays off as Blake Reinhardt will pick up the win. Raphael Lessard comes home in 2. Brock Reinhardt finishes 3. Michael Morley 4. And Caden Lapsevich comes home 5th after having trouble early on. What a finish for the youngster to come home with the top 5.
That's the Lapsevich experience of running a lot of iRacing. They've generated an awful lot of experience, and they just seem to show up at the end. They can have struggles early on, but a terrific job by Blake Reinhardt to hold off the challenge. Raphael Lessard on that restart, right at the green flag, was really right up on the rear bumper. Faded back just a little bit, and then tried again down the backstretch, but didn't have anything for him. And Blake Reinhardt, understandably, celebrating with a few donuts. So I guess he did have plenty of fuel.
I was just going to say, concerns about fuel? No way. We got enough to do, donut.
Wow, and that's pretty impressive as you get both of the Reinhardts who finish in the top 3 here tonight. We're going to queue up the top 3 finishers here, and we will get a word with them here in just a moment. What a finish here at the Auto Club Speedway for round number 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series. And Todd, some pretty exciting action, some pretty exciting restarts, and a strategy call at the end brings it home.
Yeah, it was interesting. We saw right as we got to just about lap 30, we saw there were drivers that were making pit stops, making the call that they were going to try to have enough fuel to finish at the end. A little bit early, we were concerned, but we had a series of yellow flags after that seemed to take away the equation of having fuel has become an issue, and we didn't have to go beyond the 50 scheduled laps. The final green-white checker played out perfectly. A great battle with Raphael Lessard and Blake Reinhardt coming out on top, just doing what he needed to do, and still got plenty of fuel in the car for a few donuts in Victory Circle.
Blake Reinhardt has made it to victory lane, the 19th hole victory lane here at the Auto Club Speedway. And Blake, congratulations on an incredible restart there with a green-white checkered finish. You definitely had the fuel to make it go the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah, turns out there was more fuel in there than I thought. Yeah, just thanks to my brother, first of all, for that strategy. I wouldn't have done that, and here we are. So, thanks.
Blake, you were riding down, as Dave Bradley mentioned, that you were on the restarts. You were going right down onto the apron. In the is that where your car handled best? Is that where it gave you the best run heading into corner number 1 on those restarts?
Honestly, it was just about taking the shortest route around the track to try to save more fuel. That's really all it was, to be honest.
You know, you had Lessard so close in those dying.
I think we lost Dave there for just a second. Let's see if we've got Dave back.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Blake if he knew that Lessard was so close in the dying seconds of that lap.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't sure what strategy he was on, if he had fresher tires or not. So just kind of hope for the best, and I don't know, maybe his boss will give me a call. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be something for sure. We've also got Brock Reinhardt in here, who comes home in the 3rd position. We've got both of the Reinhardts here with us. And Brock, tell us about your 3rd place run here tonight. A solid effort for you there aboard car number 15.
Yeah, thanks. I don't think I could have made more mistakes during the race. I managed to get myself in the first wreck, and I got myself into the longest line penalty at some point, which I haven't done in a long time. So it was a battle, and the only way we were gonna have any sort of track position was to do something stupid. So we tried to save a whole bunch of fuel, and I cannot believe it worked out. I'm so happy for my brother.
Those cautions at the end must have been your friend. And tell us about the strategy that you gave your brother, that he just credited you for helping him.
Well, that was nice of him. I thought I was going to have to yell at him to stay out. He wanted to pit. We had about 5 laps to go, and he was getting 4 laps remaining notifications, and he was a little stressed out. But I needed 1 caution to make it. He needed 2, and I think we got 3. So yeah, it worked out. I couldn't be more excited, to be honest.
But you had quite a dice there towards the end as well, working your way. You fell back just a little bit, but you had to fight hard to get back up inside the top 3.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I couldn't launch off restarts. I even had Blake counting me down. I just floor it, and the 2 guys behind me would just blow right by me, so I had to fight really hard in 1 and 2.
Well, Brock, a great run here tonight to come home in the 3rd position here for round number 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series. I know everybody's got a long list of folks that helped make it happen here on the iRacing service. Tell us about your cast and crew.
Yeah, I got to say thanks first and foremost to Storewall Canada. Without them, we wouldn't have good-looking cars like this. And Image Factor Media is on the car as well. I know there's a lot of race car drivers in here and a lot of race car drivers watching this. If you need any promotional materials for your race team, check them out. We got the race room in Calgary on the car. I know they're in a little bit rough shape with COVID-19. So if you're in the Calgary area and you want to check them out, I know they'd appreciate it. I swear I'm forgetting someone, but I'm exhausted.
Well, you put in a great effort here tonight, and congratulations on that 3rd place effort.
Yeah, thanks so much. I just remembered who it was, and he's going to kill me. Shane, MSD Machine Tool. Thanks, buddy.
All right, we're going to send Brock down. Guys, we've been broadcasting tonight both in English and in French, so Brock is going to head his way just down the hall from us here to our French broadcast booth and get a word that just returned from the French broadcast booth to join us here for our Victory Lane interview. A 2nd place finisher, Raphael Lassard. Congratulations, man. I know it was you wanted 1 spot more here tonight, but you certainly put on a good run there on that green-white checkered finish.
Oh yeah, of course. It was an awesome race. The guys were really fast. Congrats to the winner. I wanted 1 spot better for sure, but it's always fun. You know, we had a good strategy. I think it's the best strategy we could have done, and it paid off at the end. We were having a hard time putting ourselves in the top 5, but then we finally got it with the strategy. So it's great to start the first race of the championship and finish with a top 3 finish. I think it's gonna look good for the next couple of races coming.
Raphael, you really tried to pressure Blake on that final restart. You were up a little higher than he was. He was right down on the apron at the restart. Take me through the last lap or 2 and tell me what happened and what kept you had you come up just a little bit short.
Well, he did everything he had to do. He was protecting the bottom in the corners, and I couldn't really get a good run. And I was trying to back up my corner a little bit and just get a better run off the corner and be able to draft him. And if I could have got right beside him, I think I could have won the race. But he did everything he had to do to win the race. So he did a great job, and I just tried everything I could.
You were close to him there coming out of 4. Was there any thought to maybe put the bumper on him a little bit and maybe make that space there?
Yeah, but you know, we're early in the championship, so I thought about it, but you don't want to do that early in a championship, because these guys, you're going to race against them a lot in the next couple of weeks, so just gonna have to be patient, and if it was the last race of the championship, I would have done it for sure.
What did you learn tonight that you'll be able to use in the next few weeks?
Well, just trying to learn from my different competitor and just trying to see their weakness. And next week, I think it's Charlotte, so it's going to be a whole different story. It's a little bit different of a racetrack, more grip, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And it's actually my next real truck race, May 26th, is going to be Charlotte. So it's going to be a good practice for me in my for my truck race.
Well, Raphael, you put together a great performance here tonight. A great way to start off this championship of 5 races here for the Canadian Sim Racing Series. I know that you've got some folks that I'm sure you'd love to give a shout out to here to help you get to this second place run here tonight.
Yeah, of course. Kanak, Cowboys Motorsport, Toyota, Mobile One, JBL, and FR Express, all my family, and my friend Etienne that is always helping me to have a good strategy. So yeah, it's all those people that make it happen and that are helping me in my career.
Well, a great run here tonight. Great job, and we'll see you next week at Charlotte.
Thank you very much.
All right, there's Raphael Lessard, comes home in position number 2 here tonight. And guys, that is going to do it here tonight. A very exciting round number 1. I think we've got to see that, just because we have, necessarily an idea of how things may go, the pit strategy, the fuel, we had it all tonight. We had some yellows, yes, but we really had it all.
We had a lot of great action in the early going with green flag running. It was exciting. It was fun to watch. And then we got to the midpoint. There was strategy in terms of, do you pit right away? Do you wait a little bit? It turned out that it worked out perfectly for Blake Reinhardt. They pitted early, got the track position, had enough yellow to get to the end of the race, and then hold off a late green-white checker charge from Raphael Lessard. And Brock Reinhardt came home with a 3rd place finish as well. Fun first outing. Interesting to see what'll happen in the next 4.
It was a lot of fun, and I thought Raphael made a really good point. He spent this first race just learning his competitors, and I think that's going to pay dividends when you get into race number 2, 3, 4, and 5. You figure out who's more likely to roll the dice and take the chances and make those crazy pit strategies and what's going to happen. Not everybody is going to play by the rules and say, well, you need to pit by this lap, and you have to do exactly that. So I think that is a big learning day for a lot of these drivers, and it's going to play out over the course of this series.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. This was a lot of fun. This is a new effort for everybody here with the CSRS and GeForce TV, and I think this went even better than we could have imagined, and you guys were a big, big part of that tonight. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting to work together.
Oh, it was fun. Looking forward to doing it again next week.
Absolutely. We'll see you again next week for sure.
All right, that's going to do it here from Fontana, California. Round number 1 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series is now in the books. Blake Reinhardt draws first blood here in round number 1 of 5. We will head to the Charlotte Motor Speedway next Sunday night with live coverage on GeForce TV starting at 9 p.m. We want to thank everybody who was involved here in competing, as well as bringing you the broadcast in both French and English, and also all of our competitors who did such a great job out on the racetrack here tonight. For more information, you can visit us online at CanadianSimRacingSeries.com. Of course, the Canadian Sim Racing Series being presented by LaCroixTuning.com. We will see you next Sunday night from Charlotte from the Auto Club Speedway here in Fontana, California. Congratulations to Blake Reinhardt. We will see you next Sunday at 9 p.m. from Charlotte. Thanks you for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday. Good night, everybody.
Great job, guys.
Introducing GeForce TV. GeForceTV.net is your new source for action overload. Featuring free live programming year-round and countless hours of on-demand video, GeForce TV will be your first stop whenever you want to see the latest and hottest racing action. See live Friday Night Excitement weekly from Auto Speedway, and watch the stars of tomorrow make a name for themselves during Thursday night's live microsprint racing. GeForce TV is also the new home for Rivals Race Chat. Watch weekly as Clinton Jeffrey and Adam Ross discuss all the hot topics in the world of motorsports. For iRacing fans, GeForce TV has you covered with hours of live broadcasting from Rivals and GeForce TV racing leagues. GeForce TV promises to deliver motorsports, esports, and action sports you want to see, along with talk shows and vlogs to keep you connected to the lifestyle you love. Visit GeForceTV.net today to subscribe for free. Sit back, hold on, and feel the G's on GeForce TV.